to this edition of Stories from the Road. It's the AEW Pittsburgh edition. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you like that little intro there. Britt Baker's super over in her hometown. We have a lot to unpack here. But first, I have to take you back to November of last year. We did a little signing with Brian Cage with our friends from Wrestling Inc. And so I messaged Cage because I had had some previous conversations with him during that signing time. And I was like, you know what, I'll message him, see if he remembers me. So I explained, who I was, about the signing and whatever. And I asked him, if we could meet up in Pittsburgh because I was going to be there. And he messaged me back in 10 minutes and was like, yeah, sure, no problem. We can, meet up. I'll sign whatever you got. No big deal. So then fast forward, it's a couple days before AEW, I message him, make sure we're still on. Then he messages me and he's like, well, would you be able to give me a ride to the arena? I was like, yeah, no problem. And we kind of left it at that. And we said we would, work out the details once we got down there in Pittsburgh. So then, the day that I'm leaving, it was the day before. So the day before, he messages me, he's like, hey, do you mind if someone else rides with us? I'm like, absolutely not, no problem. So now I have Brian Cage and this other mystery wrestler going to be riding with me in Pittsburgh, which is awesome. The little 7-year-old me was doing backflips because, that's just awesome. As a wrestling fan, I couldn't wait. And so then we get to the day of, and I get down there in Pittsburgh. I messaged Cage to let him know that I was there. And then I, coordinated with him in the morning to meet him at a location. And we went down there to pick him up. And there was just wrestlers everywhere. First wrestler I saw was Dustin Rhodes. Now, granted, on a regular circumstance, I would have, totally graphed this whole area, right? But, since I was there for Cage, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to, ask for autographs since I'm there for Cage and whatever. But, of course, I had stuff prepared for Cage to sign. So I see Dustin Rhodes. That was cool. Saw Jake the Snake, John Silver, Alex Reynolds, Britt Baker, Wardlow. I mean, the list goes on, just so many. Seeing Jake the Snake Roberts was awesome. But anyways, so many that we ran into, just seeing them around. We didn't technically talk to them or anything. Just seeing them around was cool. I thought there would be fans everywhere. So I just thought it would be a madhouse, but it really wasn't. No big deal there. We were the only fans around, and I found Cage, and he knew who I was instantly, and the first words out of his mouth, funny enough, were, what do you got to sign? We can do it quick. Because the person that was riding with us was still getting around and whatever, so we were waiting. So I pull out a stack of 15, 20 photos, and he's like, well, are you a dealer? He says. And I was like, well, no, but I collect, autographs, and I have the autograph cave, and I explained to him, what the autograph cave was, which was pretty cool. And he just was talking to us about AEW and the current storylines and things like that, which was really cool because, it's very rare that you get to, talk to a wrestler about wrestling. So that was really cool. His friend Ashley, she came down then, and we all left. Ashley is training with the Nightmare Family. She's an independent, she's been wrestling on the independent scene. She's signed with AEW. But she was really cool, really down to earth. Of course, they asked us where we were from. Nobody has ever heard of Williamsport, Pennsylvania, so I wasn't shocked when they didn't know where that was. But so Cage, he ripped through everything that I had to sign. I had like 15 to 20 items. He made short work of that. And I was actually supposed to get his Team Taz gear, but he had gotten a higher offer, and I said, no problem, no big deal. I was just happy to meet him, really, and I was going to be taking him around Pittsburgh. So, I mean, really, what's cooler than that, to be honest? So, first stop with them was to the gym, which was about five minutes down the road. So we drive them over there. The whole time, of course, we're talking wrestling and so forth, which was pretty cool. And drop them off at the gym, and they say, give us like 90 minutes. So then we go, while they're at the gym, we go to get something to eat right down the road. And they messaged us when they were ready, picked them back up. More wrestling talk on the way to the arena. We were really cutting it close, as far as getting them to the arena on time, because they got a little delayed at the gym, but no big deal. We still made it on time. It was pretty cool, actually, getting to the arena. They have like a section blocked off, and there was like, security and cops and whatever. And my girlfriend was actually driving. I got to actually sit in the back seat with these two wrestlers and just talk wrestling, which was super cool. I really enjoyed kind of just sitting under the wrestling story tree, if you will. They talked everything, AEW and, their current storylines and where they hope to go and things like that. That might be for another video. But we'll see. But I mean, it was just really cool, just talking wrestling with them. So anyway, we get to the arena, and there's cops and everything, security, and it was cool. My girlfriend was driving. She rolls down her window, and she just says, "We have Brian Cage in the car," and he like peeks his head around, and the security's like, "Oh, okay, go ahead," and like lets us go through. And before we got out, I had asked Brian, I was like, hey, is it cool if we, get a quick picture with you? And he was like, oh, no problem, So we all jump out. We're at the arena, and we get quick picture with him and whatever. And there's like, I don't know, 20, 30 fans on the sidewalk. And they're like, hey, Brian, can you sign today? And he was like, nope, took pictures with us and just left, which I thought was hilarious. So we just hopped back in the car, and drove back to our hotel to wait for Dynamite, because it was the day of Dynamite. And so then, of course, we get to the arena. Well, I should say back to the arena from the hotel. And we had purchased meet and greet with Britt Baker and who was the other one? Wardlow. Britt Baker and Wardlow were our meet and greet purchases for the day. That was a disaster. Not the actual meet and greet itself, but just being able to find where to go with the meet and greet was quite the ordeal. I walked in the front of the arena and I was like, where's the meet and greet? And they said that it was upstairs. So I walked up like all of these stairs to get up to this top area, and there's nobody up there except for one security guard, and he's like, yeah, that's down where you just came from, you gotta go there. So then I go all the way back down. Now I'm 12,000 steps in for the day and like 30 flights of stairs for the day. So anyways, I go down all these stairs again to get to the front, and the same lady that told me it was upstairs is like, oh yeah, the meet and greet's right here. So I was like, okay, like, finally, you figured it out, I guess. But, all right, so we go through the, the detectors, whatever, and we're going to meet Britt Baker and Wardlow. Wardlow was super cool, super nice. It was real quick with him. Kind of, said hello and moved on after signing and taking a picture. Britt Baker was pretty cool. When we were in her line, I went up to her and I said, well, can you do a special inscription for me? And she goes, yeah, what can I write for you? And I said, how about baddest bitch on the block? And she laughed and she goes, "Oh my God, absolutely, of course." She goes, "I don't get that very often." So she was more than happy to write that on the photo for me and sign, and that was funny. It was funny that she kind of popped for it a little bit. So that was nice. But she couldn't have been nicer. Wardlow couldn't have been nicer. Great meet and greet to kick off the Wednesday. Of course, after Brian Cage, which was like the coolest experience ever. And of course, by the time I got back to the hotel, he had already messaged me. He was like, "Thank you, brother, for taking me around Pittsburgh. If you ever want to do a signing or anything, let me know." So, I mean, that was cool. So I'm excited about that. You never know when the machine might reappear in the autograph cave. But anyway, so we do the meet and greet. It's the Wednesday Dynamite. Of course, Dynamite was awesome. Hopefully you guys watched it. I'm not going to go over like the matches and stuff like that, but we had awesome seats, as you can see by the pictures that have been rolling this whole time. Great show. Tony Khan is the man. I'm just going to say that flat out. Tony Khan is like amazing. He came out and he actually let us vote on like the final match of the night based on crowd reaction, which it was like the Lucha Brothers and boy, I can't even remember. I'll have to look back at the pictures. I'm sure when you guys see the pictures go by, when you see the pictures of the Lucha Brothers, you'll be able to tell who they wrestled, because I don't remember. But it was awesome. He booked that match based on crowd reaction, which I thought was pretty cool. And then, of course, we had the Dynamite. And so that finishes up. We wake up the next morning, and we all felt like we had been hit by a truck. None of us had our voice. We were all sore. I mean, that's the mark of a good wrestling show right there. I mean, if you don't have a voice and your body is sore the next day from having such a good time, that's a good wrestling show. So that couldn't have been cooler. Thursday was just our day in Pittsburgh where we didn't have anything to do. So we went to a bunch of museums and Heinz Field and all that kind of thing. No autographs that day, so nothing to really cover there. And then comes Friday's Rampage, which was awesome. The debut of Rampage. And based on the times that we had dropped Cage off the previous, on Wednesday, I figured, maybe the wrestlers would be there around the same time, maybe an hour or two later, because Rampage started at like 10. So I miscalculated, obviously, because by the time I went to the arena early on Friday, and by the time I had got there, everybody that was already there fan-wise was like, "Yeah, you missed everybody. They all came in on a bus." And so that was like a bummer right out of the gate. I was like, "Man, I've missed everyone. Like, this isn't going so well." But we did end up meeting a couple wrestlers Friday before Rampage. It was funny. Luchasaurus, there was like a lane. It was like a street with like a sidewalk, and then like right off the sidewalk was a doorway where the wrestlers would go in. And so, I mean, they couldn't really get past us without us seeing them. So Luchasaurus was coming up the sidewalk without his mask on the other side from where we are. And we're all focused on him. And next thing I know, I turn around and Jungle Boy is right behind me, just standing there, like walking up the sidewalk towards me. So I said, hey, Jungle Boy, do you have a minute to sign and take a picture? And he was like, "Oh, absolutely, no problem." Signed for everybody, took pictures for everybody. Didn't really care. It was pretty cool of him to do that. Of course, we saw Matt Hardy, who did the old I'll be right back, and then never came back, never signed, that I know of. Now, I did leave early, so I don't want to throw him under the bus too bad, but I don't think he came back. But anyways, saw him. Then Christian Cage pulls up in a car, and I didn't think he'd stop because, he's like one of their bigger stars, I guess, now. He's going to be fighting Omega for the belt. So I didn't think he'd stop. But so he rolls up, and he says to the security guard, he says, well, I'm not going over there unless everybody puts a mask on. Which, I don't blame the guy. So we all put our mask on. He came over, took pictures, signed autographs for everyone. Couldn't have been nicer. That was great. And then the surprise of the day, Mr. Andrade El Idolo, he pulled in. They were in a like SUV, and it pulls right in up to the door. So I was like, oh, he's not even going to sign. But as he's getting his bags, he doesn't really speak any English that I know of. I think he just speaks Spanish. But as he's getting his bags out, I kind of shook my pen at him and kind of pointed to my poster. And I was like, Andrade, you got a minute to sign? And he motioned for me to come over towards him. Well, I was like, getting over there. And these people like cut in front of me. And they got a picture with him. And I missed out because by the time, even though I was the one that stopped him, mind you, by the time I was, up close to him where I could have gotten an autograph or a photo or whatever, security pulled him away. But I was right there, like a foot away from him. So it sucks that he couldn't have just waited 2 extra seconds to, either sign for me or pose for a photo. But at least I saw him. But the kicker in the whole thing was, so the car pulls away and they go up and back down. And when they came back down, we realized it's Charlotte Flair driving the car. Now, her and Andrade are obviously a couple, so it wasn't really that big of a surprise, but it was just cool to see Charlotte Flair unexpectedly. And she did wave at us, which I thought was pretty cool. So that was nice to see her. Unexpectedly. Never know, I guess. And then, of course, after meeting Jungle Boy and the near miss with Andrade and Christian, we decided to pack up and go back to the hotel and get ready for Rampage. So that's what we did. Got ready for Rampage. Showed up to Rampage. Great show again. AEW really doesn't disappoint. It doesn't matter if it's Rampage, if it's, whatever it is, Dynamite, Rampage. Doesn't matter. AEW is not going to disappoint you. I'll just tell you that right now. Best time I've ever had at wrestling shows, for sure. It was just great. After the show, it was like a mass of people. There was like 60 or 70 people trying to get autographs. And we saw Jungle Boy again. He came over, signed for everybody in the line, took pictures with everybody in the line. It was pretty awesome of him to do that. I certainly didn't expect it. So Jungle Boy, gold star for being the best to the fans for the trip. Because he was just awesome. I couldn't believe he ran the whole line, everybody, all 60 or 70 that were there. Before Rampage, though, we did meet Chris Statlander and Lance Archer. Lance Archer was lame. I don't know if maybe they were, because of COVID, I don't know if maybe they got in trouble the previous night, because the previous night they really didn't seem to care. They took their time. They didn't really seem to care if you had a mask or not, at least for the photo ops. Now, as far as, moving about the arena, of course, it was strictly enforced. But they were pretty relaxed on Wednesday, and then by Friday, it was like, the security guard was like, if you're in a group for photos, you have to take a photo with your group, everybody in your group. And I was like, well, we're not doing that. We're just doing individual photos. And oh well, So we did, the photos. Of course, we had to keep our mask on. They were a little more strict with that, but Archer just seemed like he wasn't in the mood to even be there, which was kind of disappointing, but I mean, I didn't really expect anything else. Chris Statlander was really cool, just like Britt, really cool, real fun, no problems there. But the craziest, so this is, actually, this was on Wednesday, it wasn't on Friday, I got my days mixed up. On Wednesday, there was it's like a lobby, and there's some elevators and like bathrooms, etc. So I went into the bathroom. When I came back out, I look over at my buddy who's standing on the like opposite wall, like I can see him, and he's like just staring, and his eyes are like huge. And I look over where he's staring, and I'm pretty sure I audibly said, "That's Brian effin' Pillman Jr." because I was so surprised. He was just standing there along the wall just talking to these people. So I go up to my buddy. I'm like, "That's Brian Pillman Jr." He goes, "I know." And we were just shocked that he was even there because it was like a little corner of the arena. Like, you wouldn't have even suspected it. And the only people that knew that he was there were me and my buddy and the people he was talking to. Nobody else had a clue because he was, like, hidden from everybody. And so I said to my buddy, I said, well, I'm going to, try and meet him. I'm going to try and meet him and pick up maybe an autograph, maybe a pic with, So I waited until he was done talking with the people. And I went up to him. I said, "Hey, Brian, do you have a minute for a picture?" And he says, "I'm sorry. I was just meeting with my family. I can't right now." And I was like, "Oh, no problem." And he rushed up the elevator and whatever. But so it was kind of disappointing. But, I mean, I get it. He was meeting with his family apparently. No big deal there. I'm not going to fault the guy. But so that was like a cool little encounter, though. I didn't expect to see him. Very cool. I mean, I will say about the AEW roster, they are really good with signing. If I would have been on time on Friday, we would have cleaned up because apparently Tay Conti, Anna Jay, Orange Cassidy, the Young Bucks, everybody signed except for like Omega and Britt Baker, which I found interesting. But pretty much everybody signed. And the wrestlers that didn't sign, Eddie Kingston, 2.0, Sean Spears, Mark Henry, they were all at least cool enough to be like, "Hey guys, thanks for coming out. Don't have time to sign today, but thank you." And they showed appreciation for the fans, which I thought was really cool because sometimes, especially in WWE, if the wrestler's not going to sign, he just pretends like you're not even there. So, I mean, it was cool to see that. All in all, a great AEW. That's really all the autograph stories that I have. Unfortunately, we didn't clean up too much like I thought we would. But, I mean, with the signings, we were still at, Britt Baker, Christian Cage, Chris Statlander, a near miss with Andrade, but I'll count that because I was, like, right there. And of course, Jungle Boy and Archer and Wardlow. I actually saw Wardlow on Friday too. He was nice enough to sign for me. He's really cool. Took all the time with us. He actually waited for me to get my photos out of my backpack and signed like all 6 of them. So that was nice of him to do. Yeah, so can't complain. All in all, great experience. I didn't expect to be driving a wrestler around Pittsburgh, but all in all, one of the best experiences I've ever had in autographing and wrestling in general. Highly recommend you guys go check out AEW if it's in your town. Like I said, great autographing to be had. I wish I would have been earlier that day, but that's my fault. All in all, great though. No complaints. Hope you guys enjoyed the story. I know I left out some details, like the car ride with Cage and them, and things like that, and kind of what we talked about. But maybe we'll get into that on another episode. You never know. But for now, signing off. Again, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed the pictures. And, we'll leave you with a little parting video of Darby Allin. And we'll see you later.